Okay, in this video I'm going to take a problem which is actually on worksheet 8b, and I'm going to use both techniques. And the reason I'm going to use both techniques is both techniques share the same starting point, which I'll write down now, which is AB C plus BD naught, close that bracket, plus AB naught, and multiply the whole thing by CD. Now they both share the same starting point, and they actually, the first stage of both processes, both with Boolean algebra and with Carnot maps, is you need to get them into the SOP form. And what I'd like to demonstrate in this video is that the Carnot maps are a really simple way of solving the problem once you have the SOP form. Boolean algebra requires you to think to get that part completely right, and it's a lot trickier. So let's proceed with this. First thing to observe in this are these two little sections. They are bracketed with not, and that means that you use De Morgan's theorem. And the ones that we're interested in are where you have two terms, let's say it's x and y knotted, and that opens up to x naught plus y naught. So we will use that and apply that rule to this bracket here and this bracket there, and produce the updated one on the next slide. So AB remains the same, C remains the same. Let's change the color of the pen. From opening up using De Morgan's, the BD bracketed naught turns into that. Let's go back to the color, and then this one turns, the AB naught turns into ABCD equals 1. So what needs to be satisfied in order for that to work? Well, CD needs to be 1. CD is here, equal to 1, so it's up on this column here, and AB needs to be 1, which is here. So actually they intercept there, so that will put a 1 there. Next we have A not A CD equal to 1. So again we have CD here, so we're back to this column, but we multiply it by not A. So look at this column here, where is not A? It's here and it's here. So let's pop that in, right? Bear with me a second. Pop one there and pop one there. Finally, let's use a different color. We have not B, CD, and we want to see what that's. Again, it's the CD1 column, which is this third column here. And then over on the rows, we've got not B, that's not B, that's not B. So actually that's already occupied, so it's just that one missing. And that's all the components done. So now we use the grouping rule, and as you can see, these form a very nice group, and that's our simplification. So what is constant in that group? These variables alter as you go down. It's these variables that are constant, which are CD. And that is your simplification. So that's nice and simple. Oh, bear with me a second. Right, so that was using Carnot maps to satisfy and work with this SOP form. Let's go back to the SOP form and do it without Carnot maps and see if we end up with this answer here. So we have A, let's write it out again, B, C, D, plus A not CD plus B not CD. Now this is what makes this particularly complicated. What we're now going to look at is what common patterns we have between them, and you can see CD is common. So what you would do at this stage is you would grab that, stick that at the front, and write the remainder down. Okay. Now, this is where it gets even more interesting, because the next question is there a common pattern amongst any of these? Now, there is a rule, I think it's rule 11, I'll just get it onto my screen, rule 11 or rule, yes, I think it's rule 11 I see, and rule 11 states this. So let's write the rule down and see. Rule states A plus not AB is the same as A plus B. Now, what does that resemble? That pattern there, does it resemble anything here? It actually sort of resembles this. The only difference is that this A is knotted and this A isn't. But you can clear that in your mind by simply doing this. Take this statement here and convert it. So make X equal not A. Right? Just use a simple substitution and then rewrite that. And what do you get? You get not XB plus X. Now look at that pattern and compare it to that pattern. Okay, they're the wrong way round, but actually they are the same pattern. So if I write that out using that conversion rule, I should find it's X plus B. So I can convert this section using this, and so let's do that, and we end up with CD stays the same, but instead of this block here, we end up with not A plus B, and over here the B is still there. Okay, I've kind of used the wrong colours here. So the not B, sorry, over here is still here. Okay, so again, let's proceed and simplify this further. So from the previous slide, we ended up with this, not A plus B plus not B. And remember, to help us, we use the substitution for a term, and it's a very powerful and simple mechanism to help you spot patterns. You can simply substitute things like this and replace wherever you see that with that, and it will work. Be wary of the way that De Morgan's rules works and don't confuse that. Okay, so let's have a look what we have here. Well, actually, what I notice is I've got B or not B. And if you remember your rules, that simply collapses to a 1. So we end up with not A plus 1 times CD. Now, this or bracket here, again, using that substitution is exactly the same as writing that. And we know from the rule that that is simply the same as 1. So we end up having CD times 1, which gives us CD. And that's how you do it mathematically. Now, from my point of view, moving from the SOP form through the mathematics, you have to use some practice and willingness to test out the rules and see whether you can spot the patterns.